Busy day for Nebraska lawmakers, state senators talking about committee assignments and introducing dozens of new bills. At least 35 were introduced today before noon. Among them, LB 159 would allow foster children to get grants for post-secondary education, money for public college, university, or community college. LB 175 would create the Residential Tenant Clean Slate Act. If you meet certain requirements, the state would seal your records relating to eviction proceedings. And LB 178 would require display of the national motto in schools, "In God We Trust," written legibly in English in each classroom or in another prominent place in each school building where each student is able to see and read it each day school is in session.